work on Broadway and her time on The Voice is Frenchie Davis. Welcome, Frenchie, back to the show.
Yes, thank you for having me back. It's good. I haven't seen you guys since Essence Festival.
I know.
So
Wasn't that a fun time?
An amazing
you killed
time.
it on stage.
Thank
for us.
you.
What's been
Thank
going
you.
on?
Well, I just started working on a new play in New York.
Oh, yay!
Yes. So excited about it. It's called The View
Awesome.
Upstairs. It's about the Upstairs Lounge, which was a nightclub in New Orleans in the 70s.
Wow.
We open at the Lynn Redgrave Theater on Mardi Gras, February 28th. And it's a beautiful, beautiful piece about the power of community. You know, we have the family that we're born into, and then we have the family that we choose.
Right.
And it's really about that, the power of having a safe space and having your own tribe, so to speak.
I love that. Speaking of family you choose for yourself, I want to know about your love life.
Yes,
I hear you have an interesting title that you like to call yourself.
Well, I think you're referring to my bio on social media where I refer to myself as bisexcellent.
Yes! Do tell.
It's a combination of freaking amazing and excellent,
Yes.
and also openly and proudly bisexual. And thank you. I believe sometimes we're often forgotten about, you know, they forget that there's a B in LGBT sometimes.
Okay.
And I'm definitely proudly repping Team B.
Sounds like words of wisdom.
All right, but most importantly, Frenchie, are you ready for a little girl chat?
Always.
All right, let's talk about it. Up next is a story that has the entire nation talking. 18-year-old Kamiyah Mobley was abducted from a Florida hospital in 1998 when she was just 8 hours old. This is insane.
Wow.
This story has kept me up. Police say a woman posing as a nurse stole Kamiyah from her then 16-year-old mother. After years of searching, authorities finally found Kamiyah last week living in South Carolina as Alexis Manigo. The woman who Kamiyah called mom for the last 18 years, Gloria Williams, was arrested on kidnapping charges. In a recent Good Morning America interview, Kamiyah, now Alexis, shared her thoughts on what should happen to the woman who raised her.
That's her mama. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what she knows.
Yeah, so I really am
Yeah.
interested to hear how you ladies feel about this. Do you guys agree on what should happen to the woman who raised Kamiyah?
She should go to jail.
Yes.
She should go to jail. While I completely understand what Kamiyah
Yes.
is saying, and there's validity to it, and I completely empathize. But listen, when Child Protective Services goes into an abusive home and they take children out of abusive homes, those children leave crying, kicking, and screaming. Nobody wants to leave their mother. And I empathize with the maternal connection, but at the end of the day, there are ethics to be considered. What about the biological mother who was robbed of the opportunity to raise her child and
Still robbed, though.
Exactly. Nobody.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Nobody's
if that
thinking
was
of
your
her.
child that was taken
She should
away.
go to jail.
100%. I absolutely agree that she should go to jail. I actually think altogether this is a lose-lose situation
It is.
for everyone
Nobody-
involved.
Yes.
No one is getting peace. You know, sorry to say it, the person that is also going to be screwed for life is the child.
Kamiyah,
yes.
She's 18 years old and now she doesn't have any mother at all. Because as much as you want to say, Jeannie, if somebody told you today that lady over there is your mother, you're not going to feel. I don't think I would feel automatically some love-struck connection and completely forget about Mama Mai.
Well, no one would expect you to, but that doesn't change the law.
Right,
That doesn't change
100%.
right from wrong.
I'm just
either.
saying everyone is now going to somewhat
Well,
be punished.
this-
Because the
and that- but
18-year-old
this
girl
the
is being
thing.
punished
Yes.
for taking her mom away.
And the kidnapper should have thought of that. Her move was a
Exactly.
selfish move. But I will say this. When you look at that interview, she actually did a great job raising that girl.
Yes,
She's very eloquent.
She's very well spoken.
She's very well spoken. But the thing is, still, what she did was
100%.
wrong.
But
But
I'm
this
just
is
thinking
the
at an
thing.
18-year-old, are you mature
Right.
enough to not be selfish and not want your mom to be taken away from you?
But this is the thing, too. You have to peel back the layers. And as you peel back the layers of this story, this woman reportedly was 9 months pregnant and she had a miscarriage. So we need to provide more support for
Yes.
women when they're going through something like this. Not
Yes.
making this an excuse.
Yes,
But if she wasn't getting the right mental health care after carrying a baby for 9 months, then this probably led to her doing what she did.
Right.
So it's a lot of layers to the
People
story.
come home with their babies and feel depression.
I wonder-
Imagine
Or
not
stillborn.
coming
Yeah.
home with your baby.
I wonder if there's a way. I believe that the kidnapper should endure some consequences.
Yes.
Absolutely. We can't
Yes.
just override that. Who cares if
Right.
you raised a young girl well? You did something that was absolutely maliciously wrong, and
Yeah.
you have to
And it was
suffer from that.
selfish.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I actually agree with you. I think that the daughter, she won't know. There's no way for us to really check this, but I do worry that she's suffering from Stockholm Syndrome and has a different sympathy for her mom, because that was her mom for 18 years. So I wonder, though, we have to remember that the priority is Kamiyah. It's her. So I wonder if the families can both join together and spend time together, like really spend time together to get to know
I don't
the
know
mother
about
and
that.
how she's raised Kamiyah. Because here's what can happen.
But she gonna be in jail, though.
I
She-
believe that
they ain't letting her out.
But spend some time, because I believe that, I really do believe this, I believe that the biological parents can figure out what the best punishment, so that they feel that justice was served for them.
Listen.
And Kamiyah's needs are met first and foremost.
The
That's my
biological
concern.
parents were robbed of 18 years. It's not their job to make it easy for the other woman.
No, not for the other woman. Make it easy for the daughter.
The daughter.
It's like the
Kamiyah.
Bible
Kamiyah.
story.
Her half.
Oh my God. Okay, so there were 2 mothers in the Bible who claimed that a child was theirs. So King Solomon said to the 2 mothers, well, since you both claim you're the mother, I am going to split the baby in half. Guess what
And
the
then
real
the
mother
real
said?
mother said,
Heck no, give her to her. And that's when he knew that that was the real mother. Because guess what? When you love somebody, the love of a mother, the love of my mother would absolutely be to put me first.
Like
I think that's easy to say. The love of a mother can also be ruthless. And if you kidnap my child, 18 years later, I'm not making it more convenient for you.
Not for
I'm
you,
sorry.
for the child.
No, that's
for the child.
She's, listen.
She don't know that lady.
what would you think? Whose
Whose fault is that? Whose
That
fault is it
woman,
that she doesn't
but
know that
again,
lady?
she's an 18-year-old
Exactly.
child.
I
But
understand
Can we
that
just,
she's
doesn't
can we just talk about
understand.
Kamiyah for a second?
Absolutely.
When I watched the interview, I did see this. She is very self-aware. For 18,
Yes.
she realizes that this situation right now is very overwhelming for her. She did say, you know what, I will always love, what's her name again?
Her
mom.
mother. Her mom.
She will always
her
love
kidnapper
She will
mom.
always love her Lonnie, she will always love her kidnapper mom, but at the same time, she realizes that
I
this
mean,
is
that's
a very
how you solve it.
true.
That's
She
my
realizes
kidnapper
that-
mom, and this is my
Yes.
biological mom.
She realizes that this is an
Accurate.
overwhelming experience, but what she did say is I am willing to give my biological parents a chance. I would love to get to know them
Right.
for 18
That's
years.
why I'm
Right.
saying they
Great.
should come together. I think they should
I
come
think
together.
in time that may be a possibility, but right now, no.
Well,
But
this is,
but you have to get over, sorry, but I just have to say this. There's a living, breathing 18-year-old who's enduring all of this, and you have to be very careful, because you could traumatize this young mind
Even more.
To be,
So
to
wait
be
a minute. So are we saying
a
that
different person?
So we're saying that it's okay to kidnap babies?
No, I'm
No,
saying the priority is
nobody's
Kamiyah.
saying
I'm
that.
I
saying
understand
worry
the
about
We're
priority
trying to
is
think of the
Kamiyah.
best solution
However,
for the child.
But we're not, okay, we're all women, okay? And you guys are asking this woman to just be like, well, because I love her, I'm gonna just accept that this woman kidnapped my baby.
No,
And
I'm not
spent
asking
18
that.
years.
No, I'm asking.
So whatever middle ground is gonna be found, I don't think that's gonna happen immediately.
Jeannie, what are you saying?
I
What's
am
your-
saying give Kamiyah the attention she deserves for right now to prioritize. She's at 18 years old. She's probably figuring out what to do at school, what to do with this attention, the counseling that it takes to now process what has happened to her. Focus on her first and do it together as a family. In that time, I swear that God will lay it upon both hearts of what is deserved for the kidnapper
Agreed.
and what the women, the mom and dad should do for Kamiyah.
And I like that, Jeannie, but the reality is we have laws. And so the
Yes.
law says that
I'm not-
she has
the
to
law
go
should
to
still-
jail,
yes.
and that's what she's going to do. But I understand that you're saying that
Yes.
they have to, but we have to, because really what the kidnapper mom is being made an example of. Because you cannot have
Yes.
people thinking they can go into
Yes.
the hospital
100%.
and steal babies.
Yes,
That's not going to
100%.
happen in this
Right.
country.
I think we all agree that
I
she
get
should
what
go
you're
to
saying.
And
jail.
also, though, can we talk about the reality of what she did? This woman pretended to
Dressed up
be
as a nurse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that was the fault of the hospital.
Befriended.
That was the fault of the hospital.
The family. True, but also that tells you where her mind is as
That's
well.
terrible.
Oh, she went into the room. It's reported she went into the room. She befriended
So this
her.
was thought
they
out.
thought that she
This
was
was
a
thought out.
relative. See, this is the problem when y'all make assumptions because somebody black and the other one black.
Oh, my God.
You're supposed to have an ID. or
But
no.
can I just say something first? Can I just say this? I am very happy that this story ended with a good ending.
Yes. 'Cause
Now,
it could've.
what would we be saying if it didn't end up like this?
It's terrible.
No, it would have been like a lot of other tragic, but this is the thing too. Kamiyah, that's her name?
Yes.
She had
Alexis.
a feeling, you know, it was an inkling, but she wouldn't, she kind of felt like that wasn't her mother. But then it became factual when she tried to get a job, and she was like, I need my birth certificate, you know, and the mama was like,
That girl's smart, I'm telling you.
and she was like, I need my birth certificate, and then that's how it came out. But she had previously, it had been reported that she felt like this woman was not her mother. But she was probably under the syndrome, and she felt so much love from her that, you know what, in the end, what's done in the dark is going to come to the light.
Yeah,
Believe
that's the moral
that.
of the story.
Always.
And don't make
You know,
I know this sounds like a really odd question, but when you just said, what's her name, Kamiyah, how do you think she feels about being called Kamiyah?
Alexis.
Her name is Alexis.
Wait a minute, which one is her real name?
Alexis is her real
The kidnapper mom
biological
named
name.
her what?
No. Her real name
Is
is
Alexis.
Correct. So we're obviously discussing her as Kamiyah. I'm just saying.
But is Kamiyah the name she grew up with?
Yes.
No, Alexis.
grew up with the name Alexis.
She knows herself. She answers to Alexis.
Okay.
We are all calling her the name
Wait,
that her
is that
6-year-old
correct?
birth mother gave her, which is Kamiyah.
Right.
So even those things are like, is that traumatic? Like everybody's talking about me
She
as
talked about that. She
a
said that.
name.
She said that in the interview.
And what did she say?
She said it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
She's trying to make sense of all of this, but I have to give her praise for doing it with grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
This 18-year-old.
She's unreal.
And being very respectful to both the parties.
Yes, she is.
And that means that her mom was the
That's what I said. That's
kidnapper
what makes
mom
this
did
a
a good
crazy-
job. She just wrong for kidnapping her.
Maybe
all
she
right?
did.
She needs to suffer the consequences.
Exactly.
It does. Absolutely.
I think
Maybe
we all
she
can
did.
agree on
We
that.
can agree on
Maybe
that.
what we're
Great.
saying is, you know, there's obviously different levels of being incarcerated. There are people that, you know, are in private, what is that called? There are people that are in solitary
Solitary.
confinement
Yes.
where they can't have visitors, no one
Right,
can ever see
right.
them again.
And again, Adrienne, the
Yes.
little girl said it perfectly. She said, I understand you have to lock her up,
Right.
but just don't throw away the key. California Congresswoman Maxine Waters has been reading a lot lately and not at the library.
She's my spirit
Representative
animal.
Waters, who is 79 years old, was at a press conference recently, and after responding to some questions she didn't feel like answering, she let everyone in the room know that she wasn't having it.
Yes, she was over
She
it.
is my spirit animal.
Yes.
She's always been like that. She's ever since she was in local pop. I grew up here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
She's always been like that. Just no
very
nonsense.
matter of fact.
Oh,
No
yeah.
foolery for
I've
me.
added Maxine Waters as a term in my colloquial dictionary.
Oh, I love it.
It means completely bereft of damn. I don't care.
Yes.
Unbothered, unbossed.
Can
Love
you
her.
read? Can you read like Maxine?
I've been told that I can.
Wait, can you just start off our show with that opening she had? Just say, welcome to The Real, and then, can I help you? What do you want?
Yes, can I help you? What do you want? Oh, it made me so happy.
Good.
It made me so happy. And not only that, I think the press has been very selective in what they report and how they report it.
Completely.
She's
Everything. She's everything. She's my spirit animal.
I also think it has something to do with age. And once you get, it's something about people in their 70s, they don't care. And I say that because my mama like that. My mama is just like that. I pray to God I can be 70 so I cannot care. You know what I mean?
That is true. And she's 79.
Whatever.
all day.
Or I would do that to men too, you know. Whatever. I don't
That
need
was
you.
her version of boy bye.
Exactly. Boy, bye. Yeah, that was it. So I like it. It's just to see a woman like that who's seen so many things. I think she's been through so much that she's just tired.
Yeah.
And she's like,
She's
you know
over
what?
it.
I'm just over
Exactly.
it. And that's
Done.
it.
Yeah.
That comes with
ran
age.
out of
It's like
dams.
fine wine. You know,
Yes.
you know about wine, don't you?
Yes, I do.
When
Yes,
it gets
I do.
fine, it don't care. You know,
Tamara
smooth.
gives really classy reads. But you
really-
read.
I do.
She
That's
read
the
with
thing.
her
A lot
finger.
of people, you know, they see this face and they think I'm very naive, very innocent, but don't come for my man and don't come for my children, don't come for my brother, don't come for me in a certain way, or you will get red. You know what? A lot of people usually, I usually read when reporters ask like silly questions about my sister and I being twins. Sometimes, oh my gosh, they will literally say, Tia, how old are you? And then they'll say, Tamara, how old are you?
Oh my gosh.
Really, y'all? We're twins. We're the same age. Or they will say, oh my gosh, you guys look so identical. You guys look so alike. Are you twins? Yes, we are.
So they ask ridiculous questions that aren't thought out or researched or
Or as
Yes,
a
so
journalist
stupid.
that showed up and clearly didn't do their homework.
Yes,
like
right.
the
Duh.
twins, they have the same birthday,
right.
they look alike. That's usually how that goes.
Or people
you know.
have mixed me up. They always mix up the black actresses, you know, like I'm Sherry Shepherd.
Yeah.
Me and you will look alike. They're going to think it's two Lonnies on the table tonight. It's just, that's why I wore bangs, because they're going to be like, it's two Lonnies.
After working her curvy body in 2 Beyonce videos, Bronx-born dancer Akira Armstrong had one question. Aren't there any other big girls in New York City who can dance? Well, she soon found out because Akira put together a full-figure dance company called Pretty Big Movement, founded to ensure that dancers with curves would not have the same feelings of alienation and self-doubt that she once had. It's amazing. Look at her killing it. She's so dedicated. Frenchie, what do you think of the Pretty Big Movement? Because when I saw this, it inspired me so much because many women face some type of setback because of judgment or, you know, whatever else people put out there to see the norm. What do you think about this?
I think 2 things. I think it's really empowering and beautiful to see it, but I also think it's just a tinge condescending that we're making a big thing out of it. I mean, I'm a Broadway girl, so big girls who can dance, that ain't nothing new. And
That's right.
And we continue as a society to perpetuate this stereotype that thin is synonymous with fit and active, and it's not. If you go to McDonald's, it's going to be skinny heifers in line in there too.
Yes.
So the reality is, and
True, very true.
and many of my thin friends are in horrible shape. They don't like to work out. They don't do any of that. And so I think...
And maybe they can't dance.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
And so I think that, you know, I think that it's beautiful to see that, but it's not my first time seeing it. And I think that we have to stop perpetuating the stereotype.
Exactly. We always make a big deal out of stuff. I mean, big girls been dancing. I'm sturdy. I'm not big. I'm sturdy.
Right.
Okay.
You're grounded.
We've been grooving, you know, but it's one person. It's like, this New York City. You see all them big girls. You know they've been dancing.
Exactly.
So let's stop. This is foolishness.
Exactly.
And what y'all gonna say? No, don't do it. I wish you skinny heifers would tell me I couldn't dance.
You guys, she noticed a need that was out there, and she went and did something about it. Obviously, she's not the only one because she has a lot more other ladies in her dance class, and she's doing great things.
Yeah.
No matter what the backlash is.
And it
You
is
go,
a
girl.
beautiful thing.
You do it.
No backlash. I'm just saying.
I said it was beautiful and empowering.
I'm not saying there's backlash. I'm saying she's doing something without thinking what anybody else is going to say about it.
Yes.
Which is
I don't
beautiful,
get
and
it.
that's what I'm saying.
People, we've been doing these type of
Which is
dances.
why I think it's a little bit
I don't get
condescending
it.
that this is even a topic.
She's
That's what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying.
I
It's
do
like
too.
if I created tomorrow, you know...
It's like telling black people you're so well-spoken. Bitch, what you think I'm supposed to be? I went to college.
But the difference is what I heard when I listened to...
Damn, what you over there feeling? Why you all over there
Because
in
you guys-
Lululemon?
It's like
This is the real. This is the real.
almost skinny.
And the reality is that I'm sorry when I watch a show, whether right, I don't see 20 big or sturdy women
Here's the
dancing
thing,
That's
in
because
right.
you don't
You
see it
sturdy.
don't mean it don't exist. Just
But
because you
she's
don't
not
see
saying,
it doesn't
she's
mean
not
it doesn't
saying
exist.
it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
She's just showing a different perception.
And no one
She's
here's
showing
knocking her
other
for that.
people who may not have seen that.
Yes.
that, hey, look.
They see it all
I
the
can do it
time.
too. Not everybody.
Yes,
Not everybody.
and factor in her personal story. The reason why she did this is because she was turned away and told too many times that
And
you
it's
are
her
too
personal
big
story.
for this
We
performance,
can't
for this
take that away
audition.
from her.
So
Not
no,
her.
nobody's
Would
trying to
you
take it
feel
away from her.
differently?
If it helps her personal journey and it helps her feel
We
good
would
about
applaud it just
herself
as much.
and other women
I
like her
guess-
feel good about
okay.
herself, go ahead and do it.
I guess I'm more on to the point of just let people be people. Include everybody into the
Right.
dance. It shouldn't have to be a certain
or the
way.
other.
Or I don't know what she's doing. I'm just saying, for me, I don't need a group like that to make me feel good. And I hope if you're watching out there that you don't need a group like that. If you want to dance, dance. If you don't.
You've seen our next guest in hundreds of movies and TV shows, from Machete and From Dusk Till Dawn to Sons of Anarchy. He has one of the most recognizable faces in the industry. When he's not acting, this busy guy is running his restaurants, Trejo's Tacos and Trejo's Cantina. Please give it up for Danny Trejo.
To come to the show.
I proposed to you the last time we were together. Wait, I even said a poem. I once had a heart and it was true, but now it's gone from me to you. So take care of it as I have done, for you have two and I have none. Hello. You said no.
You said no?
You said no, you gotta understand. We go back a long way. We've done a couple of movies
Two
together.
movies together.
And how many times have you been married, Danny?
4.
Exactly. I ain't want to be the fifth.
Trying to make it number 5. No way.
It's so good to have you here, Danny.
Danny, I'm a huge fan.
Thank you
I
so
grew
much,
up
man.
with you. You are amazing. You've
Yes.
been in so many movies. Oh my God. Okay, well,
Let me tell you something. When I say hello to a girl, I know when she's too young. When she says, "I loved you in Spy Kids." Oh God, okay.
I did though. I
Damn.
did. I watched that. You were amazing in that
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
So, what has been your favorite movie that you've been in?
You know what? I would have loved Machete even if I wasn't in it. You know what I mean? That was a great movie. You know? But when I did a movie called Heat with Robert De Niro,
Yes.
Al Pacino, Val Kilmer, that was the stuff right
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
That was a good
amazing.
there. That was awesome.
Amazing movie.
Yeah. You know what else is amazing? Your story. Can you tell us about your story?
You know what? Anything's possible with God. That's the God. I was in a lot of trouble when I was young. I went to the penitentiary a couple of times, and they wanted to send me to gas chamber. And by the grace of God and dedicating my life to helping other people, I'm sitting here in front of you.
That's right.
Never give up.
You know what? You brought some stuff here. Okay?
We got some
So
stuff.
we got to get into your
Now
restaurant.
tell us about this. I know you do a lot of vegan stuff, which I love.
Yeah.
So tell us what you brought us this morning. I'm
Here we
excited.
got.
1, 2, 3, voila.
Okay.
Going in.
Oh my
This
God.
is the cauliflower. This is the veggie cauliflower,
Sure.
and this is the brisket. This is
Okay.
Oh, that's
This
what
is-
I
I want to try the cauliflower.
I want the brisket and a cauliflower.
that's cooked for 4 hours.
And you know what? You can't have a taco without some hot sauce.
Hey!
Hot sauce.
Thank you, babe.
We sell that.
See?
We sell that.
You gonna share?
at
Now,
the
what is
restaurant.
this?
Let me see
Street
that.
corn.
This is street corn.
I
This
wanna
is
taste that cauliflower.
corn, but it has popcorn in it too, and it's
Cauliflower.
absolutely delicious. That's one of my favorites. I
That's
just
such a
eat
good
that.
idea.
I'm chewing it away. It's so good. Thank you so much for coming, Danny. You're awesome. Make sure you stop by Trejo's Tacos and Trejo's Cantina here in LA to have a bite. It's so delicious.
January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month. As President Obama wrote in his proclamation, millions of men, women, and children are exploited throughout the United States and the world for their bodies and their labor. This crisis is near and dear to us, and our very own Jeannie Mai, who traveled abroad last summer to fight this injustice. Jeannie, Why is raising awareness about human trafficking so important to you?
To be honest, I didn't even know what trafficking was until just a few years ago. I've never heard of the word before. Until one year when I was visiting a really close family friend of mine in Vietnam. And she was always really secretive about where she worked. And after digging a little further, she admitted that she worked at a brothel. So I asked her why she worked there. And she told me that her family was really going through hard times. They were dealing with poverty. So her uncle sold her to the brothel so that she could work. And she had no choice but to do that in order to save her family. So I had no idea about this situation. I thought it was a one-case thing until I started to talk to friends here in America about it. And I learned that when you're taken against your will to be forced in uncomfortable situations like that, that is trafficking. And trafficking happens everywhere, not just in Vietnam, but all over the world, including especially the United States. Yep. So I started to learn more about it and get passionate about it. And then my own Mama Mai, she's like, what is trafficking? And she asked me a lot of basic questions that I was like, a lot of people don't understand what it is. So I took her on a trip. Every year I do a trip, and I took her exactly to the heart of her home country, Vietnam, so that she could see and work with survivors to see exactly what it's like. So I put this together for you guys. I am in Sapa, Vietnam. I love it here. It's absolutely beautiful. The reason why we're here is because we're taking 2 of the AMs from our shelter home to visit their families. I took Mama Mai on a trip to her home country of Vietnam. It's a major source and destination country for women and children who are bought, sold, and traded as modern-day slavery. Many wonder why women get trafficked. They are abused for their labor, forced to produce children that can be sold, and are used to satisfy sexual needs. Some are even sold for their organs. They are considered property. For example, I took a survivor to a clinic to laser remove her burns and tattoos that were branded by her owner. Education is key, so my team and I traveled miles outside major cities to perform outreaches. It was frightening to realize that lots of families don't understand what was happening to their missing children. I even met a dad whose daughter was trafficked and sold and had no idea how to find help. Globally, only 2% of trafficked women and children ever make it home. I was able to reconnect some of these survivors to their families, whom they've been separated from for years. Some women can't return home, either because it's unsafe or their relatives are guilty of selling them. At the Pacific Links shelter, we bonded with the ladies to rebuild their confidence. Trafficked women have been kidnapped, raped, tortured, sometimes killed. 45 million people today around the world are enslaved. And after experiencing these personal stories, I have dedicated my life to bring hope to these survivors to put an end to human trafficking.
I think the hardest thing to realize is that trafficking doesn't just happen to people who are in less fortunate instances around the world. You know, they don't have internet. A lot of these people don't even have money or the ability to go and ask for help. But it happens right here in our own neighborhoods. People are trafficked all the time and sold here to be used as modern-day slavery. So something recent happened for me. Actually, I was praying to God and asking him to help me find a way to teach everybody on what we can do here in America. And I met a very special friend who's a huge part of my life now. She's a special guest and not only a leader in the fight against human trafficking, but someone who experienced it firsthand. Please welcome my friend, Donna Hubbard. Donna, when we met, we couldn't stop talking. We laughed, we cried together, and you told me about your personal experience with trafficking at the age of 16. What happened and what made you fight trafficking today?
I was a young woman, a young mother, and many times when you are desperate, you make desperate decisions. And I fell in love with a man that I thought was the man of my dreams. He told me he loved me. I was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, and he would take me out and walk me around. I was his arm candy. And I went to a party with him, and I was in a penthouse, y'all, drinking champagne. That was a big deal for me. I was a young mother with these small children, trying to fit in, trying to find a life for myself. And when I woke up, there was a man on top of me, and it wasn't him. And there were other men standing along the wall waiting their turn.
Oh.
And I didn't know the men that had abused me, but they knew who I was. And would see me out at night in clubs and restaurants and would whisper things in my ear. Again, I was raped by one of them, afraid to say anything. Made it impossible for me to stay there, and I moved to the other side of the country. And at that point, I fell into the hands as a young mother of a pimp who sold me to a gang. And I was traded for everything from drugs to weapons. And so in my case, it wasn't being kidnapped. In my case, I wasn't a young girl. I was a young mother who was desperate. And desperate people do make desperate decisions. And what's most important for people to understand is that those kind of decisions put you in a vulnerable position and make you vulnerable to traffickers who will take advantage of people in those vulnerable positions.
Wow.
So how did that then, how did you escape?
I went to prison. I had been arrested 27 times or more. Nobody ever saw what was going on with me. I was so afraid because they told me, they made it very clear to me, if I didn't do what they wanted to, they would take one of my daughters, and they would. I would have done anything. That's it. I would have done anything to protect my children.
Of course.
So it was easier for me to allow my children to think I was a drug-addicted, negligent mother on the street than to know the truth, because I felt the less they knew, the safer they were.
January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and we are joined by two of the women dedicated to putting an end to this horrible crime. Flight attendant and founder of Women at the Well Transition Center, and my friend, Donna Hubbard, and founder of Airline Ambassadors International, Nancy River. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies.
So, Donna, now, you work as a flight attendant and you're certified trainer with Airline Ambassadors International. Tell us what that is exactly, and what are some of the misconceptions about human trafficking?
One misconception is that it doesn't just happen somewhere else. It happens right here in the United States.
Yeah.
It can happen to anyone and anybody. In the United States, it is indentured servitude. They are child brides that are sold at 12 years old to be brides to individuals who found out they could go to jail for having sex with underage girls. So instead, they get permission from their parents to marry them. There are child soldiers in indentured servitude, and so there's so many other ways to be trafficked than just sexual exploitation.
Even labor workers, you guys, think about, people who have to do different jobs that are not really certified or not really reported, or they work for cash, or they do things like gardening lawns or nanny services because they don't have paperwork. There are men out there that have to leave their families from other countries, get trafficked here, and then make the money here secretly in pocket in order to feed their families back home. There are women sold as brides. There are people who are sold for their organs. You can get taken your kidney out of against your will from your body, and then sold, and you're just kind of a commodity after that. You're just a piece of property until you sometimes don't survive.
And sometimes they come over thinking they're going to have a job as a nanny, or are they're forced into domestic slavery also, as a domestic servant.
Yes, and Adrienne asked such a good question earlier, and I would love your professional input on this. What is a great way for us to see the signs of human trafficking taking place?
Yeah,
'Cause
what
that's
can we
how
do to
I found
help?
you guys.
Right. We can
It's important to see what's going on around you, definitely, to see whether you're in your neighborhood, at a grocery store, at a clinic, at a hospital. You're going to see people who are not in control of their documents, people who avoid eye contact. They may have bruises on their body. They may eat ravenously when you put them on the airplane. For us as flight attendants, we see children who are not in charge of their documents, not able to speak for themselves, not particularly dressed for the environment that they're in, and many times they avoid anybody in authority, anybody in uniform.
And how does one report an incident?
Well, that's a great question.
Thank you.
We have provided now 50 trainings for frontline airline personnel around the country at airports, but we've also developed a tip line that has all the numbers that you need to report quickly and accurately. And we invite everyone to download that free tip line app. It's spelled TIPLINE. And it's available for anyone. And if you're on a plane, yes, tell the flight attendant, tell the pilot, but take action yourself.
That's right.
Hear that?
And if you're not on a plane, don't intervene. Call the police.
Can I just say this? This is what this show is about.
Yeah.
We are helping women. And Jeannie Mai, for you to bring this, you've been talking about this.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nancy.
If you're not in an airplane,
Yeah, what's most important is if you see something, say something. And if you don't say anything, you know, you risk somebody losing their life. And if you do say something, you have the resource in Tip Line to report it, to know what to report, who to report it to. And what you report could save someone's life.
Yes.
You could save a Donna Hubbard.
yes. Donna, Nancy, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for sharing your work. The best way to learn the depth of this issue is to see and feel the lives that are being affected. I think we can all agree.